Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Millennium tonight. This is Millennium TV and you're watching us live on channel 95 on Topstar. You're also watching us live on our Facebook page, Millennium TV Zambia, and also Daily Nation Facebook page. My name is Ruben Mwanza. I am your host on the program, and we apologize for starting the program slightly late. This was due to some technicalities. Otherwise, it's better late than never. Thank you so much for joining us. And in studio, I have two political heavyweights. I'll call them heavyweights, of course. One of them is MPOROKOSO MP, Honorable Brian Mundubile, and another guest that I have in studio is Honorable MULENGA Fube CHILUBI MP. We'll be analyzing the 2026 national budget, which was presented today, the 26th of September, 2025. You'll be given a chance as well to call on the number that will be shown on your screen very soon. Welcome to Millennium tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And obviously, maybe we can just start from what you make of the 2026 national budget, where the Minister of Finance has proposed to spend 253.1 billion kwacha. First of all, what do you make of that figure, sir, Mr. Mundubile?
Well, it's a huge figure. I also want to know that in the past under European one kwacha plus 5. This is the figure.
Across. Yeah, so there's been a lot. Their budgets have been averaging over 200 billion year by year. And obviously, many a time we've seen them come back for supplementary budget. So in total, they're over 1 trillion. That's not the problem. I think what the problem has been is what has happened out of that 1 trillion. Yeah, and even more disturbing is that the only projects you hear about, projects continue. CDF for the past 4 years has only been 2.5% of the budget. This year's budget is about 253 billion. If you calculate, CDF is slightly over 6 billion. It still remains around 2.4% of the budget. Yes, of course, the figures are exciting. It's 40 million a constituency. That is good. It's good for a constituency. It's just that that amount alone cannot resolve many challenges. At local government level, that is okay. To complement other developments. I'll give you an example. We made our expectations known through the media. We're disappointed that out of over 200 acro bridges, these are modular bridges that were procured under the Patriotic Front for river crossings across the country. These are custom-made bridges, if you like. Yeah, but of course they need certain works, concrete works and other civil works to be done so that you lay those bridges right on top.
Right.
The minister only talked about 16 of them. I'm talking about that. I'm trying to demonstrate the limitations that CDF has. Yeah? If you talk about, for instance, the civil works and concrete works around those bridges, they will average between 5 and 10 million, depending on the environment and the size of those particular bridges. It's been very difficult for constituencies to use CDF, because it would be 10 million out, of CDF for a particular crossing. So what we expected to improve rural connectivity, we expected the minister to prioritize those acro bridges, because government already spent money. There were over 200 bridges to cater for all parts of the country. This was for the entire country. So we needed, we thought the minister would specifically provide for the installation of acro bridges. Yeah. So yes, 253 billion, 6 billion CDF, 2.3 still. We have a view that the budget performance the past 4 years has been very bad. I think it's been averaging around 30%. I know you want to know what I think about the 253 billion. So our view is that this is a fiction.
Is it too ambitious?
Of course, it's always ambitious. You must wonder, why is it that with budgets averaging 200 billion, the only projects that you hear about are projects within the 2.5% of the budget? The Quenu is only on CDF. So don't speak about CDF in isolation. Go down to the figures and find out, out of 253, how much is CDF? CDF is 6 billion. So there is 247 billion that you will never hear about for the next 1 year. But all the projects under CDF, projects within 6 billion, will be the ones that will be projected. The president was very clear when he came to Parliament. Up to this year, only 16 billion had been spent on CDF. But the total budgets were almost 900 billion. But only 16 billion had been spent on CDF. Yeah, so we are of the view that CDF is a very good concept. We have nothing against that. But our argument is that this government must get serious with real development. We didn't hear anything about the farming block. Yes, I missed something. Our expectations were that instead of presenting an appeasement budget, a consumption budget, our view was that 4 years down the line, they should have been looking at investments. And part of those investments should have been investments in the farming block. We gave out names of farming blocks right across the country, in all 10 provinces. And we thought that government would put some money aside to invest in this fund. The advantage is the country would achieve food security and also provide employment. And thereafter, through value addition, we can begin to industrialize activity at provincial level. Yeah, we can't mine gold everywhere. There are problems there. Our youths are being killed every day. So we need to move away from there and do something in agriculture. Further, what is very disappointing is that Kobe Musogotwane keeps mentioning the same project. If you go to the 2022, 2023 budget, 2023, 2024, you're going to find Chipata Lundazi Road. You're going to find Kasaba Bay. It's the same projects. You know, he mentions them every year. You know, we had to stop for a moment and wonder that has he gotten a wrong copy? You know, because it's the same projects. You hear about, you know, no, Kasaba Bay, Chipata Lundazi Road, Livingstone Sesheke, and everybody's clapping. So we think this is a fiction. You know, you can't continue coming, talking about the same projects year in, year out. Yeah, so the figure sounds impressive, but from the past experiences, it's been a mere fiction. Yeah, because we don't really see what the government does with this money. All we see is what CDF is able to do. Okay. Yeah. So, but if you go into detail to look at it, somebody actually said, listen to the minister. It sounded like he was reading a charge sheet against the PF, you know, rather than giving an economic development plan. It was more like a charge sheet because it kept on going back and forth. In many cases, the statements that he made were inaccurate. I'll give you an example. It remains a fact that the EPND has failed lamentably in the energy sector, be it in the electricity subsector and in the fuel subsector. Now, the president came to the House, said for the past 57 years, there's been no investment in the energy sector. Totally untrue. We know that the PF was able to introduce 2,000 megawatts into the grid in the 10 years that they were in power. And there were a number of projects within the sector that were undertaken. One of the major projects was the 330 kVA Peninsula line. The idea was to have an interconnector on the eastern side, because government realized that there was overcapacity on the eastern part of Africa, specific in Tanzania. So this 330 kVA line starts in Cabo, all the way into Serenge, connecting into Kasama, right up to Nianakonde. All the UPND has failed to do is to extend that line up to Tunduma. Okay?
Yeah. I'm saying it's the first time.
Yeah, the problem we have today is that they failed to extend that line up to Tunduma because there's overcapacity across the border. So we would have been getting cheap electricity from Tanzania into Zambia to resolve the challenge of load shedding. And our position is that our methodical government in the UPND was very methodical in this in its decision of not extending that line into Tanzania. For whatever reason, I think somebody was protecting business. Somebody was protecting the import and export of power. Because clearly, the issue of load shedding, there were warning signs as far back as 2023. Yeah, if there was any attention paid to that Peninsula line, the 330 kVA line, would have connected in Tunduma, and then there would have been an interconnector on that side importing. Yeah, so we sat in Parliament, and it was a long day to listen to the minister making statements like this was. Well, I mean, if the minister says nothing was done, okay, and I expect him to be well informed that a lot of money was spent in this particular sector. What I've given is just one example. You have the Kafue Gorge Lower. Yeah. You have the Iteji. Okay, you've got the improvements on the Victoria Falls. Okay, Kariba North Bank. There was some improvement at Shimba Falls, Musonda Falls, and all these, Lunzua Falls. So in total, we're talking about 2,000 megawatts. This was within 10 years. If we ask today, what has the APND done? Yes, there's 1 or 2, 3 solar projects, but we know the challenges, we know the weaknesses of solar power. Most of these plants are generating 0 megawatts as early as 16 hours. So we still go back and rely on old installation. Hydropower, yeah. Right. So the base load, as experts would call it, there's been no investments in that area. So it cannot be a minister who's been at the helm of Ministry of Finance coming to say nothing has been done when a lot more was done under the previous regime. We've always argued that government is a going concern. What you do is to appreciate what the previous government did, then you add on what you've been able to do. Right. But you can't come and hope that you continue blaming the previous government 5 years later and expect that you're going to influence the minds of the Zambian people to continuously think that they were led by responsible leaders and you are the messiahs when they can't see any redemption even 4 years later.
Hey, Mr. MULENGA Fube, let's get your comment on the increase of social cash transfer. What do you make of this increase? The beneficiaries to 1.3 million households, up from 1.5, up from 1.3 million households. Do you think this is a move in the right direction?
Maybe if I come to that's what was said.
Okay.
Was budget plan.
Right.
Implement. Also involves tracking budget. What is coming out of the budget? because all we saw that this document, the budget, was able to talk about what it has done, but it could not do on why. What's the eclipse about the other issues? Maybe as a starting point, just to build on what my leader said.
Mm-hmm.
And the
national budget.
The only thing they share in common, which is consolidating economic and social gains towards a prosperous and equitable land.
Mm-hmm.
The other things at variance. Why do I say so? The two documents are supposed to be strength from eight national.
Mm-hmm.
You saw how scanty the statistics were thrown in the presidential speech here and there, but it has been repeated also in the, and they are speaking to different things. For instance, as my leader said, when you go to the same budget,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have seen that he has already talked about that. We were told by the presidential speech that by youth we are cooking up something. Wait for the budget. That's like you remember what the president said. He said, don't judge us on the 2021. Judge us on the 2022 budget. That is our baby.
Our budget, yes.
And sometimes when we say that the president really misses our opportunity, it's not that we don't like him. And I think we need to be watching what he says. Because you put you in this expectant ecstasy where you are expecting something. I'm sure the youths were expecting today to see where the budget
what the government is cooking for
yes, what the budget the government is cooking, because the president is the one who speaks first. After that, we have the Minister of Finance. But maybe the Minister of Finance forgot that the president had said that. Maybe that's where we are supposed to say. But I said the devil is in the detail. Let me just, I come to social.
Please give us the
Let me just speak. For instance, in 2023, we had 703 million kwacha as the compensation fund under the Minister of Justice. Where did it go? So share among countries. Those who were incarcerated and so forth and the like.
Yes.
And what was surprising about that 703 money is that the entry and the out was exactly, not where you find that they were supposed to pay more, was exactly the same. Where you don't even remain with one way. It's like they just picked people, fitted them in, and shared them.
And the money was shared.
Yes. So now, when you're looking at that, we need to be very careful. Under general public services, which is 36%, which is 92 billion. We have one component where they have again brought in 810 million kwacha. I know this is going to cut us. I have no apology to make, and I think I can't even bring about it because I know how they have been using it. Then, under the economic affairs, we have a new entry called the electricity fund. We have an energy crisis like boss has tabulated. Electricity fund has been allocated 500 million kwacha. If I am to ask you, which one is more important? The compensation fund, which we have all seen goes to cutters, who share that this one was pointed the gun at, no, the other one was strapped by a policeman, and then they share the money, or the electricity fund.
Of course, it's the electricity fund.
Yes. Then, under the same, you have economic empowerment fund, which is 588 million. Bear in mind, the CADA fund, the CADA fund is at 810. This is the CADA fund, and I think everyone has come to know in Zambia that this is the CADA fund.
And
yes.
And the performance
Yes.
Of that particular account is at 100%.
Yes.
You know,
when the other funds are not even funded.
It's one of the few accounts that are fully funded.
Fully funded.
Yeah.
So
So the
you need to-
performance on that is
Yes, it's 100%. Like, we have given you an example. 703 million going in, 703 million funded, and 703 million coming out. Funded 100%, consumed 100%, and everything 100%. That's a kind of fund.
and just there, no, sorry to disturb your thought. You Ruben, you must understand why we have paid specific attention to this particular fund. Around about last year, we had a commissioner from the Anti-Corruption Commission, Professor Kaba, who came out very clearly and pointed out that there was a lot of corruption under Attorney General's chambers, and specifically to do with the compensation fund. Yeah, he pointed out that public officers, in collusion with political cadres, were signing questionable consent judgments
yes.
to get that money. That matter, unless it was recently cleared, it should be alive at the Anti-Corruption Commission. And so what we're seeing is that more money is being put in that account. There's actually been an increase. Yet areas where we thought that we needed to put money like the electricity fund are funded less. And if you interrogate further, maybe a few months into that budget, you find that maybe even the funding will be at 30 or 40%, but the other account will be fully funded. So it's a source of concern. We want to urge government for once to be serious. You know, we know that they only have a few months in government. They should be able to put money in priority areas that will assist the majority Zambians. It should be about Zambians. It should not be about a selected few, a few privileged Zambians or cadres, as the case may be. So please make it.
I think while we are highlighting these factors, you need to realize that it's important. This is an issue of priority. The budget is priority. In Bemba, they said, meaning that when you look at this, it's about where are the youths in this? Where are they? I know that under the school infrastructure and the like, people qualify this as to be the youths. I expected that this Kada fund, which is not even properly accounted for, and so forth, cannot beat the fund in a time when we have crisis. Coming to your question on social cash transfer, we know that these factors have been created, and I think they have been there for a longer period. A framework was set, and even the scale of vulnerability of how people qualify was more refined. But this time around, these government services that are here, including the cash for work, the recruitment, whom are they recruiting? Cadres. And this is discriminatory because when you look at these factors, every Zambian deserves to be put. Maybe in my district, I can tell this, and I think the Minister of Community Development knows the problem. I don't know about in the Honorable District.
No,
the social cash transfer standing more like a reward. So, to me, this is an appeasement budget that is meant to create loopholes for maneuvering around, especially that we are going into an election.
Election year.
Yes. I don't know where Imitofole is here, but Imitofole, to me, is in the same framework. It's in the same standing like cash for work. Why I say cash for work is because cash for work, as things stand, I searched because according to Article 7, even an SI is law. And I searched where I could see how this was accommodated, cash for work. I have not found. I know about food security pack. I know about social cash transfer, but cash for work, I'm still struggling. Which legal and police framework houses cash for work? Cash for work has been more like an appeasement fund. In any case, I don't know about the MPOROKOSO in CHILUBI. We don't even have cash for work.
Yes. We don't have cash.
So we want
in selected places.
We want things that save people, and as such, boss has forgotten that yesterday we did not only line up the the what?
Expectations?
The farming block.
Yes,
You also highlighted certain roads that were supposed to be done.
exactly.
I listened carefully, and I think this repetition of the same formatty and the like, just like the presidential speech, you see that the formatty is the same, and they just put in different figures just to change. I think this is very alarming now, and I think it shows that there is no thinking outside the box. It also shows that we are not having that responsiveness towards people's needs, because a budget is supposed to answer people's needs. I think honorable yesterday, the one with the chairperson also for parliamentary affairs for Tonse, highlighted some of the roads that we expected to be tackled. We have seen the same old record being played, and I think that is not helpful. And I think when we go to the tone that was used in terms of, I think we were honorable, we qualified to be called prophets, because when we look at the tone of today's budget, I think we foresaw that. He talked about finishing schools, secondary schools.
Maybe just on the roads, Honorable.
Yes.
So, yeah. Our concern was that there are a number of roads that are being worked on in only one part of the country.
Which part is that?
I'll go to specific roads. When the APND came into power, in Northern Province, we had a contractor on the MPOROKOSO Kawambwa. That contract was terminated. There was a contractor on MPOROKOSO on Sama, Kaputa. That contract was terminated. There was a contractor on Sombo Chava CHILUBI. That contract was terminated. There was a contractor on Seluka Kayambi. That contract was terminated. He was, we're considering procurement of the Lunte Zakaria Chanda Road. Okay, that process was stopped. There was another one on the Mbala Kasava Bay. So all these projects were quoted, including the road from Mpika into Kasama. Our appeal yesterday was that the president was addressing traditional leaders, and the theme of that address was unity for development.
Right.
He talked about taking development everywhere to foster unity in the country. So we warned the Minister of Finance. We warned him to say, we are aware that the roads that I've just highlighted were cancelled alongside other roads in, for instance, the Monze Niko Road in Monze. You interested to know that a contractor was re-engaged at 3 times the initial cost. They are nearing completion. Okay? The Katunda Lukulu Road, we've supported our brother Mitelo. We think it's very important for that road to be done. But the contract was cancelled alongside the other roads that I've talked about in the northern part of the country.
Just on that one, Honorable, you've talked of the contracts that were cancelled.
Yes.
Were there any justifications or reasons why these contracts were cancelled?
There was no justification. Of course, what is even disturbing is that once they were cancelled and contractors were re-engaged at 3-4 times the cost. Monze Niko Road, for information, under the PF was at 330 million kwacha, 370 million kwacha. And now it's at 940 million. And this is a 70-kilometer road. Do not forget that UPND had said they were going to lower the cost of doing this road. Yeah, so I want to exhaust my thoughts. Yeah, so you have the Tatayoyo Katunda Junction Road being worked on. You have the Katunda Lukulu now being worked on. So you have the Chikankata, Kafiwe Chikankata, being worked on. So you have a number of projects on one side of the country that have been revived, and contractors are working. And this is a very serious concern. Honorable Fube and myself are members of parliament from the northern part of the country. The president is talking about non-discrimination in the distribution of this project. Today's budget was very annoying. I realized that if the minister had paid attention he would have come to realize that clearly there was only one road that was given to Lupososhi Samfya. Only one road. Okay? So we, as members of parliament, would like to put it on record. We would like to urge Comrade Musokotwane. We want to urge Comrade Musokotwane to go back to the drawing board, come back even with supplementary budget, to accommodate some roads in other parts of the country. It's totally unfair. The distribution of these projects is supposed to be fair. The president was assuring the chiefs. He said we will take development everywhere. Okay? We have nothing against the government doing the Lukulu Katunda Road. It's a very important thing. That's our Zambia. We've supported Comrade Mishek Mutelo. He's been crying about that for a very long time. We support the rehabilitation of the Tatayoyo into Katunda Junction road. That's a very important road. We've been visiting all these areas. We even support the upgrading of the Monzeniko Road. For your information, that's a road that goes to Wengo, where the president comes from. We must support efforts that there should be a good road going into the village where the president comes from. But we will not shy away to say the MPOROKOSO Nsama Kaputa is a road that goes to where Honorable Nelmango comes from, the vice president. So it must be said as it is. It would be unfair that this government goes through the entire 5 years. Even a road as important as that is not done. I did not hear it in this budget pronouncement.
So in short, you're saying, the construction of roads in terms of allocation is not fair, is it?
No, it's not fair. I mean, I've just highlighted. The first background I gave you was that there were contractors already. If the government was fair, they should have just allowed the contractors to run. Would have had no problem. Okay? Even after they did their audits, they didn't find anything wrong. PF was very strict when it came to procurement of these projects. They could have simply re-engaged the contractors that were already there. In some cases, the contractors were still mobilized on these sites for some time. But contractors are withdrawn, and nothing is being done on the roads. So it is too clear. They would have done a better job. I think Comrade Musokotwane, really, it would be injustice if we, the leaders from Northern Province, do not speak out. Nobody's going to speak out.
Yes, our chiefs represent the people.
Our chiefs will not speak out. We've got to speak out. Yeah. And what we are saying is, even when you look at the energy sector in relation to the road infrastructure, the whole point of working on road infrastructure is not for the fun of it or merely motorists. You're opening up areas. You're creating backbone infrastructure for investment. There's a lot of potential out of Northern Province, over 600 megawatts of power. Okay? So to become even more attractive to the investors investing in these areas, the road infrastructure has got to be done. If you look at the Kawambwa MPOROKOSO Road, there's 240 megawatts out of Lumangwe, Kawerume, and Kundabwika. There's just no road. Okay? If government was very serious about resolving the crisis in the energy sector and the tourism sector, these are some of the key roads. These are not roads that are not of economic value. On that road, you have huge tourism assets, and you have potential to generate more power.
By 5
Yes. So clearly, the president was very emphatic, but I think that these areas have been ignored, and it's not too late for the Minister of Finance. As representatives of the people from there, I want to put on record, we feel that these areas have been neglected. Comrade Musokotwane must pick 3, 4, or 5 roads from Muchinga, Northern and Wapula provinces, and include them in the budget. The Tuta Road. This is a road connecting Central Province to Wapula Province. That road is in a deployable state. The Mpika Kasama Road is in a deployable state. MPOROKOSO Kawambwa is connecting Wapula and Northern Province, deployable state. So clearly, these are major roads that must be worked on. And the minister cannot simply ignore and continue, singing songs about Kasaba Bay. If you went to his budget speech of 2021, he talked about working on Kasaba Bay, the runway, and indeed the road. Nothing has happened. Today, you're still talking about the same thing. You know,
How do you even work on the survey without improving?
Yes, we need to get we need to get serious, and I think this is a national cake. It's a national cake, and we demand that Northern Province gets its fair share.
Great. All right, dear viewers, in case you would love to be part of this discussion, you can call the number that is showing on your screen, and we'll give you a chance to come through and make your contribution, ask a question, or make a comment on what we are looking at. We are analyzing the 2026 national budget that was presented today by Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani. Now, one of the things that he talked about was, they actually projected the 2026 GDP growth. And I want to get your opinion on this because it was at they projected 6.4% in terms of growth. Now, looking at how the economy is performing right now and the energy deficit that we have in the country, do you feel like this is attainable, the 6.4% GDP growth?
For him, not, I think, also one fiction. They're even telling us the inflation has fallen 5 point, now around 12.3%. That's a lie. And because they know that grows statistics and they lump them in the fabric. Why? That is not telling. We said earlier that the document, that is the backbone, all that. Why we should be talking about growth is manufacturing. And if manufacturing industry has been affected by the energy crisis, let us not just go stand on a rant and say we have produced. For instance, last year, we had a drop of 10% on traditional exports. Because if you are manufacturing, it means that you are also able to export. And what contributes to growth is not abracadabra. It's something that you are supposed to be doing. Then, the mining sector, we have been making mineral royalty deductible, and apart from making it deductible, it is targeting profitability as opposed to production. So what would that growth be? We have you mentioned a lot of mines today. This mine was not functional, this and that, but you should also check. You would have also been quite honest to say, when the PF put the mine on liquidation, what were the dividends at Bank of Zambia? Those things are supposed to be done. When the PF had created a vehicle called IDC, this, of course, some of them were a bit of loss-making companies, but they are those that recorded the profit. What were the dividends that they were taking there? So when we talk about growth, we don't talk about growth without a framework. We talk about growth within a particular framework. So manufacturing, agriculture is one. Agriculture has been underperforming badly, and the policies are bad. So you cannot talk about each contributing to GDP. Because when you're talking about GDP we want is growth domestic product. That's an abbreviation. And the gross domestic product has got different components which contribute to it. Tourism, how is tourism contributing to it? Tourism industry has been killed by the energy crisis. You see? And when you talk about, even now where people are jumping up and down 15 hours, all this, for 4 years. 4 years. And the economy is cumulative. It's not about you jump certain years, you underperform in certain years, and you expect to perform in 2025. That is not how the economy moves. Like, for instance, my boss said we had laid a foundation and a very good background and a backbone for them to harness developmental growth. We had at least done, we had networked towers, we had networked a lot of things, we had brought in hydropower, which is more reliable than solar and many other factors, infrastructure. Just yesterday, I think Honorable Mundubile reminded me that if we just picked 5,000 houses, with this 2,000, I saw 2,800 blocks. If we picked 5,000 houses, that's from the police, not even touching the ZAF, or ZNS or anything. That's from the police. Because I know that even in cutting across, even prisons benefited and many other things. That is before we touch the 115, 115 hospital that we started. That is before we touch the 650 prefabs that we started, and the main hospitals before we started. We offered them on the market to make UPND look like kindergarten boys. Now, when we look at these factors, they all contribute to growth. For instance, the way we did the township roads, how growth comes in. If there were dust roads in there, meaning domestic revenue at household level as reason for those who have got houses there, because the housing units will attract better money, because we have taken a third road there. And that is the reality. Ask anyone. Those are simple economics. If you look at the growth of assets that we did when we were in power, you find that a lot of people built. Though they are saying no, money was what, but people built. When people build, it means that land rates, you are going to regroup some money through the land rates, you will regroup some money through electricity, you will regroup some money through water, because all those people need connectivity to all those, and they go into the national treasury. That's how growth is demonstrated. Okay. I think growth is not demonstrated from without. But I looked at 6%.
All right, let's accommodate some calls. Let's pick up this person's call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, thank you. Give us your name and where you're calling from.
From Mumba.
What is your name?
Mumba.
Mr. Mumba, thank you so much. Please go ahead. Okay, I think we lost that call, but you can still get to call us back. We are still analyzing the 2026 national budget, and in case you would love to be part of the program, feel free to call right now, and we'll give you a chance to also contribute or ask a question on the program that we are having tonight. I'm having Honorable Brian Mundubile as well as Honorable MULENGA Fube on Millennium tonight. Let's pick up this call here. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, can you get us?
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello there. We seem to have some network.
Yeah, so
problem.
I think on the projections of GDP growth.
Yes.
I won't speak as an economist, but I'll speak as a citizen who's alert. They projected 4.6% growth in GDP.
6.4.
6.4.
Yes.
It was later revised by Minister of Finance to 2.3. Later the IMF came and actually revised it to 1.2. Yeah, so these are it's the same team that we're dealing with. Yeah, so based on what happened previously, you would know that some of these projections they made, as my colleague Honorable Fube has said, they really have no basis. Because you can't go to 4.6 and be reduced to 1.2. It really meant that they were making these projections without a very solid basis, as it were.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right. Let's accommodate some calls. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Give us your name and where you're calling from.
Mr. Mumba. Yes, took a top time.
Okay, Mr. Mumba, please go ahead.
Mundubile wonsa walipata mkwaya wa MULENGA Mundubile mkwaya
mulishani wa Mumba watoto wa Mumba
sana mini mwisho bari wumba according background na wonsa abantu bari dripa noti wasa ekana kurejo ba popula bipofu kwa tamara ikiali wera according kuma Zambia barisa without security barisa background without kwekana kurejo bamukula bepokwa chimwino bamundubile muchani ukawachumura pomkai abashi
chungula pomkai bamumba chungula pomulifye bino emkai
atotera sana nale kumbwa sana abafyashi banje barungu ngabakora suti nishinayi kutta kana bamuna benishina bakora suti nisuma ya nale kutta na kotna yo kwaji bonko atotera pomkai chungula pomkai
Atotera Bamumba, thank you so much for calling. You can also call and be part of the program.
So, as we were talking about growth, so when we talk about growth, there is also balance of payments.
Yes.
When we look at what exports versus imports, when you look at that, you find that what is it that we are manufacturing?
The import.
And apart from that, copper, even today, the man was just talking about copper this, copper that, copper this. Copper just seemed to be the focal point. And do we have any stake in copper? What amount of copper do we control as a nation? And I think even when we got that mine, which he was referring to, not the mines that we are closing, in terms of monetary value and what we retained, so on behalf of Zambians, yes, we retained the 51% shares. Where is it now? It has evaporated and the explanation cannot be given. So when we talk about the mineral royalties, we have forgotten. We haven't heard properly where Honorable Msokotwani is telling us about the mineral royalties. And I think what we said about mineral royalties, not only be talking about copper, we should be talking about cobalt, we should be talking about sugar, we should be talking about gold. All these are minerals. Now, the mining sector today looked like the copper image was very scant. Then he wanted to bank more on artisanal mining. And artisanal mining without a backbone, where you find that. And I don't know.
Sorry. I want to agree with him that I think it was very scanty when it came to the mining. Our expectations were very simple. You remember in 2021, they projected that the copper production will be improved to 3 million tons by 2031. That is 5 years from now. And as a result of that, they decided to give incentives, to the mining sector. Okay? The mineral royalty tax was reduced from 6% to 3%. Yeah. Also, mineral royalty tax was made deductible. I want you to look at these two things. There is a promissory note, the promise that by the mining houses that they'll ramp up production to 3 million tons. In exchange with that, we gave them this incentive. Now, as far back as 2021, we were very concerned. We said there are no benchmarks that have been set for these mining houses to meet before they qualify for these incentives. The questions that we asked then were, what will happen if they fail to ramp up production, yet we've given up these incentives? The minister then was able to even give figures that government was losing in form of revenue by giving these incentives. So we are here today, 5 years down the line. Okay? Production only improved from 700,000 metric tons to 800,000 metric tons. The increase has only been by 100,000 metric tons. It's hoped that hopefully this year or next year we'll get to 1 million tons. Okay? So the incentives have been fully enjoyed for 5 years. Government has been losing money for 5 years by giving these incentives. The production, the increase in production has been. One would argue to say, well, maybe it takes long to invest in this. But it was only 2-3 months ago, in fact a month or so ago, when we heard the Minister of Finance giving a tax waiver for the export of concentrate.
10%.
Yeah, and the excuse there was that we didn't have enough smelting capacity. Whilst we can excuse the mines when they say they're busy developing underground mines, and if they couldn't even invest in smelting capacity, and yet they're enjoying all these incentives. So what we say to the minister, our expectations were that today he would have dropped the target from 3 million tons to 1.5 million tons by 2031. That would be
Because of the incentives that they've been enjoying.
No. That's what would be a realistic target. 5 years down the line, we haven't increased production by over 200,000 metric tons.
But we've maintained the incentive.
We've maintained the incentives.
Right.
Okay, and we keep on talking about 3 million tons. So I don't know how, with the current situation in the energy sector and many other support systems, how we would jump from 1 million to 3 million tons in the next 5 years. So what would be better for the minister to do is to revise the target downwards to 1.5 million tons and be able to reinstate the mineral royalty tax to 6%. Okay, and also make it non-deductible. After all, the mines have already enjoyed those incentives. I just thought I could add. Honorable, I think you had the floor.
Okay, just hold your thought, Honorable. Let's hear from this caller. Hello.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. This is Moses. Our two honorables. Good evening.
Good evening, Moses.
Thank you so much. This budget, for me, I'm worried because you talk about the target to our two leaders there. Who is owning those target? Mukalangana kuya Great North. We are told that you are not pass a contractor with a 25 years. So when they are increasing on the fees, who is going to benefit? Is it not that contract?
Is that contract?
And who is that contract? Is he not a foreign?
Yeah.
At the same time, so if we are wondering, even you are many that that Osako Janjani so that you manage to export. Who is that one, guys? Is he not a foreigner, sure?
Those are middlemen friendly to them.
So we are wondering now, is our government more giving more incentives to the foreigners rather than us citizens? Ukufuti kumayate omani ukuntumire kwa mai kumunzi kupeta uke uko. She's almost 30 years old. She can't even go kumunda bakula. Watumire koka 200 vanitie mafuti vabo mashua mai zafika zingati ungani zingati ungamani. Imo honorables naimo, we are blaming you because you seem to be so disorganized naimo wako opposition. You are supposed by now to have buried our 60th president and
okay, Mr. Moses,
to be up and
I think
so
we're not discussing that. Otherwise, thank you so much for calling. Please, let's stick to the topic that we are looking at. We are analyzing the 2026 national budget.
Okay.
Let's hear your comment.
Can we tackle that?
Yes.
Yeah. Moses raises a very important point to do with targets. But before I come to targets specifically, Comrade Musokotwane, when he was reading out his charge sheet against the PF, he was very quick to talk about the dual carriageway, where he said, this is a road where we are going to spend 650 million, and our friends wanted to spend 1.2 billion. The whole point is to spend part. Now, I want to put the record straight, especially on this road. Firstly, this concession was illegally given by the UPND government. It did not follow the law. There was a breach, there was a violation of Article 210. It didn't come to Parliament. Had it come to Parliament, we would have exposed the actual cost of this particular road. What the UPND is showing is $650 million. Now, when you are calculating costs, this is an existing road. Zambia as a country has been making money on this road for the toll gates. This is the money that has been going to Ministry of Finance and distributed. Now, because of this concession, we are paying out 650 million, but we are also foregoing the revenue on this road for 23 years. So foregone revenue forms part of the cost. The Zambians must know that. The revenue we are foregoing for that period forms part of the cost. It should be added to the 650 million. We did some calculations and found that in the next 23 years, this road will actually cost roundabout $3.2 billion.
As compared to the 1.5?
The 1.2.
Right.
The 1.2, 1.5 would have been a one-off, and this road would have paid off whatever was borrowed within between 10 to 15 years. Okay? In this particular,
that they are using PPU.
Yes.
The other one was not.
It wasn't in a PP model.
Yes.
Okay? Government was going to collect money. There was a component of loan repayment, and the rest of it was used. In this particular case, we have surrendered the road. And they are able to give us some small amounts just to maintain, the workers along those. So, Comrade Msokotwane was not telling the truth when he said it was cheaper under them. It's actually more expensive.
So is this the reason why they didn't bring it to
Parliament?
To
Yes.
Parliament?
Yes, because we would have then said this road is actually more expensive under the UPND So Zambians should not be fooled and be told that this road is cheaper. It's only 650 million. We are foregoing revenue. What is even more saddening, what was supposed to have happened on that road? The concessionaire should have only taken over the tolls after completing the road, especially on the green lane, okay, the new lane. They've taken over toll gates, even on the existing road, where they invested no money at all. That's pure theft.
Okay.
That is corruption. That is pure theft.
Right. Dear viewers, in case you would love to come through, I've seen a lot of calls have been coming through, but obviously I couldn't interrupt the speaker who was actually on the floor right now. Before we go to the next speaker, let's get to pick up this call and accommodate some views from the callers. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, thank you. Give us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Carlos Mulenga.
Yes, Mr. Mulenga.
Yes, good evening, Honorable.
Good evening, Carlos. How are you?
Yes. Okay, in the channel compliment on chocolate. Why in Zambia? See another countries then for let's say. But the president, the minister is coming for that budget. But look what the Zambian suffering. There is no difference. Like Tuam Velachapi, I have other Gachema paper, I know Chachapi Mulachachi presenting what two that you. Naramazamiracho and Zasona so patchy. We the beneficiaries in Zambia background. You understand? Look what Burkina Faso. We bring them to Prime Chadi of Burkina Faso. Look what 2 years, yes, 2 years. Police and Congolese was the police, and there's a increase CTF. Once on the paying a Kundama, the minister of Kambati, Congolese also in country. Every time, those are my issues and drama, my training must stand those on so. My design that could at the country. Because look what the minister of sports, or minister of transport, what you said that. We people about I don't know some of the background by bunch. Because nothing about zero my views here and do because my opposition to come at your opposition is but my opposition in this during my voters card. Don't have it for the which to send that to have your point in the point because 2026 but one, why is why was a cost of living? But say that in the court, you want to tell you if it is in the court in Zambia. But Zambia, the richest country, is not a poorest country. Because of what tracking Americans, but we're taking control in this nation. Now I'm going to not tear up a mamba by maintaining a lot. My design the Kuti. Every time we go to South Africa, go to Botswana, mind them on Zambian chan. What kind of chance in Zambia got every time? To talk up Americans, but not disappointed. Look what this government. Every time they cannot corruption, but corruption is too much money going to it. No, forgiveness. What kind of forgiveness? October, you go to prayers and forgiveness and reconciliation. Reconciliation for what? But you're not forgiving the people.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate your call from Okambiri. We can at least accommodate one call, but I'll let Mr. Mulenga contribute.
Okay, Carlos Mulenga, Mwalanda winosana wa Carlos. Ida frustration in mfika kula Carlos Mulenga is very genuine. Ngamwachita interrogate budget approval ya parliament. It's a mere rubber stamp. If you wonder Carlos, he's wondering kuti number tapali fichinja yo. So on one end you have MPs who have been sent by the people in their constituencies. Wane wiki nyamano kumalaiti, wiki nyamano kuli fertilizer, wiki nyamano kulifi. So the question that has to be asked, to what extent do those MPs influence what goes in the budget? We have a new system, sector budget implementation. Ordinarily, Carlos, what we aim for in future, if we check our number, bakupanga budget. Taya kaleisa ngefishile yo ya kwa tuwaisa afikafye bamifubula budget muatarika the minister either agrees with you or does not agree with you. Parliament kuntanshi tukalaba involved in formulation ya budget from the beginning. Yali ama committees to akwatanga ni agriculture sector and so on. Ukulaitama stakeholders to come to those committees. Pakutilimbi, if they folk monakalos, ngatule pela fertilizer 8 bags this year. Okay? Pakupanga budget palapene because my witnesses na vesa to asuminisha nyamu committee from parliament to say in this year's budget, next year's budget, yala 12. Okay? You're even able to measure the impacts so that there will be immediate responses to specific challenges that are coming from our people. Wakalo sofe mwalanda fishing ka. Yeah, because wamsokotani ngefasa vile nga budget. Tefo fine. Ifwe nga tuambile pa formulation ya budget. Ila 810 million. Ile ya ku compensation fund. Igwan fund cadres nga tata ibikiremo. Ile ndalama nga tuali tuwala kubulimi. Nga tuwale foku mono kuti tukwate reinvestment and growth. So some of those provisions that have been made and some of the proposed borrowings, if at budget preparation stage, ile ku parliament through the budget office, the MPs will then have a meaningful influence. They'll be able to persuade, they'll be able to ensure that certain challenges that people are facing are indeed attended. Yeah, yes, Wakalos, I would like to sympathize with you. Under the current budgeting system, if you have in Amsokotwane Vaisa, etukesa tarikana kofe panono, abasuka, awanensu wapunda, ya. Abawa shikwetu wishuilo wino, nga baba fumbatika switi, ya kuti 40 million CDF mkwai, nenyi mbona masha ya ambapo pene, but no kuti, this is the best budget. Abali foku mono kuti, 40 million, 40 million, mudi 156 constituencies is only 6 billion. But budget ili 253. Kwena finangu tapalandwa. Timushe 240 billion, tamulilanda po yo. Efi mwala bomba, attention yensi akuli 6 billion. So, elio budgeting system ika chinja. If you land the Carlos Mulenga, be accommodated. Because I think that's where the challenge really is.
Okay. Due to time, honorables, we need to end the program. Maybe you can chip in.
There's also that has been created a notion where they're saying they're employing people. When you look at our between 100,000 a year, because when the people came in, they found 2 universities, they created left 9 universities as public universities. That's why I've left some new allowance as sustainability. Now, when you look at the numbers that are there, but what are total
3,500, 2.5.
But look, government for growth. Employment creation is not just a responsibility of government. No. They are supposed to be a beam facilitator to create an environment for different professionals to find their foot. And how they do this, facilitate an environment for the private sector to grow. And when the private sector has grown, this issue of unemployment will be attended to. The government, when they keep on picking up, currently you know that tuma salary meaning budgets now got under pressure. And then you put more and more in the current expenditure budget. And then you put more and more, you can have environment. There's at 55% of the budget because the last time I checked it was at 53. Number of Mabika I don't want extra employed. That government is. And I know that some young people can get excited with that. Government to refer ya kusha chalo kuchibika pale kapasi ya kwata mimi kubasha kwata agriculture potential ya kwata na Fube. For instance, we are only utilizing 15% of arable land. And that agriculture product, apart from the commercial farmers, no one is adding value. There is no value addition. So, for us to grow employment, so that skilled labor. How are skilled labor? How are we? I'm sure that room will have a means of batad into young if that room will have a back around the power in Korea. I think people. So when you look at this fact, hello, I got a number not too far will be sad. Talk about Minister Bachelor that no, there's no way the nurses and teachers can be paying taxes. Hello, avale to vendra makuli nani kane kuli airtel money. Tabale pay ama taxes. Also, the minister of Fido Kuishibara, maybe he lives in an ivory tower. But teacher Balamene, Kabafola, Balatumina Vanina, was on Shindako taxi. Balatumina Vanina, when a man be Varupa, Kuma areas. So, teacher Muko Koleko Pari, pay as you hand. Nana free shows that watching for Pesharon, Dorcano. Then the other Mutuma Timber foot. The pair of Akokolamo, Mundara my moine. So, boss in Shishi, can a channel for Chala. They go to lay. So when we talk about this, if you take away a call, put in Sara, the poverty, one dollar once. Take traffic by our teacher to make a money to shop and Sarana. Anyone. But they won't say in government design or miners. I want to, I'm away with the Zamashan, Yamashalapsana. I'm an engineer, Zamashala. Once we need to cater for. How we can cater for that is scale up Zambia, not more than the fact, no, we are in. Atishani that Champions League ukabula obupiribulo kukusha agriculture kukushama minerals yesu na gold na cobalt twalika parapene pali mineral royalty scale na ile posa muri mineral not copper fake. Need to add value to our to we have got great resource in terms of natural resource. We are a resource rich nation, but we keep on to hello to us alabako no kwamba fika no tutata employ bakapokola tutata employ na ba teacher na bana ni to solve cha bantu bakwalesa balanda tutwamulisa mfuta tali tu apiro hello ba boss ba filo kulanda pala
please under a minute Mr. Mundubile.
Yes, I think like you've heard, this was an appeasement budget, and we expected Musokotwane to come with a different approach. There is need for investment. I think there are opportunities that are yearning in the agriculture sector that would help even create employment. When you go, statistics will show you that actually the agriculture sector caters for about 70% of employment. So there was need for real investments in that in that area, in that sector. One sector that has a lot of potential to even contribute to this economy and grow the GDP as they wish to do. There should have been a lot of focus on the tourism sector. We need to change the way we do things in the tourism sector. And lastly, within the mining sector, we expect Comrade Musokotwane, after realizing now that we haven't benefited much from the incentives that were given out, we want them to put Zambians first. Let them focus on Zambians. How are contractors, mine suppliers, and the rest benefiting from the mining sector? Because there are two benefits that you get from the mining sector. You benefit through taxes. You also benefit through employment creation by the mines directly. But most importantly, the business that you create for the Zambians in those mines also adds to the benefit. There are billions of dollars worth of business for mine suppliers. Now, all that business is done by the mining houses themselves. They set up companies in South Africa, in Australia, and in Turkey, and they keep on supplying to themselves. So you can't give up everything. The government must show some care to mine suppliers. We came up with some amendments to the Mineral and Mines Development Act for government to guarantee a minimum of 40% business in the mines to the Zambians. That was going to change the complexion on the Copper Belt completely. Surprisingly, there was a lot of resistance from cabinet ministers. And it was very surprising that 5 ministers rose to debate against this particular amendment. Ruben, you must wonder why. Why should ministers, whose interest is to serve Zambians, create employment through the private sector, these contractors, start defending the foreign mine owners? Okay, your guess is as good as mine. But that is very unfortunate. Yeah, so we would have expected Comrade Msokotwane to come up with measures of ensuring that business in the mining sector of up to 40% is reserved for Zambia. I want to promise you, Ruben, this is a song that we'll sing every day until Comrade Msokotwane considers it. Because we've been to the Copper Belt, we've seen the sufferings of the people in Mufurila. We went to Chingola, we saw people suffering in Chingola, in Chizawombwe, in Kitwe, in Kalulushi, in Luansha, in Ndola. You can't reduce those townships to begin clapping for CDF. When the people there, once given an opportunity, they can actually make their money, get their wealth from the same mines that are in those particular areas. So we want to impress it upon Comrade Msokotwane. There's a lot more that can be done. These are mines that were thriving before. We have people that have worked in these mines, professionals that are trained, but are now running their own companies to supply these mines. All they lack are opportunities. President Hakainde Hichilema, in opposition, kept on talking about opportunities. We wonder what has happened when the opportunities are out there, and yet our people are being ignored. So we want to speak for mine suppliers, mine contractors on the Copper Belt. They deserve more. They deserve a quota, a guaranteed quota of business in the mine.
Hey, we end the program right here. We could have gone on and on talking about this, but unfortunately, due to time, we need to end the program. Honorable Mundubile and Honorable Fube, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Ruben, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And dear viewers, thank you so much for calling in as well. I can see we had a lot of missed calls, but we could only accommodate a good number of callers. Otherwise, we hope next time you will make it. And those of you that were watching, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. This has been Millennium Tonight. My name is Ruben Mwanza. Stay tuned to Millennium.